Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to Rochford's English channel, where you learn English fast. No boring grammar drills. No endless vocabulary lists that you'll never use. Just real English skills that you can apply today to change your life. And speaking of changing your life, today we're talking about money. Your money. Specifically, how the way you speak English is directly connected to the salary you earn. I'm not talking about learning more words. I'm not talking about perfecting your past participles. I'm talking about learning how to speak with the kind of confidence that makes hiring managers think, we need to pay this person more. By the end of this video, you're going to learn 3 fast hacks that will transform how people perceive you and how much they're willing to pay you. These aren't just communication tips. These are career-changing strategies that I've seen work for thousands of my students around the world. So let's get started. Here's something I see all the time, and maybe you'll recognize yourself in this story. I had a student, let's call him Miguel. Miguel studied English for 6 years. 6 years. His grammar, nearly perfect. His vocabulary, impressive. He could write emails that sounded like they came from a native speaker. But here's what happened in his job interviews. Nothing. He'd walk into the room prepared, qualified, honestly more qualified than many of the other candidates. But when they asked him questions, he'd start with phrases like, I think maybe I could possibly help with that. I'm not sure, but perhaps. This might not be right, but he didn't get the job. And it wasn't because his English was bad. It was because his confidence was invisible. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a meeting where you had a great idea, but you stayed quiet? Have you ever let someone else take credit for your thinking because you weren't confident enough to speak up? Or here's the big one. Have you ever accepted a salary that was lower than what you deserved because you didn't know how to ask for more with confidence? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. This is the reality for millions of English learners around the world. You see, here's the truth that nobody tells you in traditional English classes. Grammar doesn't get you promoted. Vocabulary doesn't get you hired. Confidence does. When you walk into a room and speak with certainty, with clarity, with power, people listen differently. They respect you differently. And yes, they pay you differently. There's actually research on this. Studies show that people who speak with confident body language and strong verbal delivery are perceived as more competent, even when they're saying the exact same thing as someone who speaks hesitantly. Think about that. The same words. But one person gets the promotion and the other person gets overlooked, all because of delivery. The good news? Confidence in English isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And on Rochford's English channel, we don't waste time. We build it fast. So let's dive into the 3 hacks that will transform how you sound and how much you earn. All right, hack number 1, stop weak language. Here's what I mean. There are certain phrases in English that instantly make you sound unsure, uncommitted, or like you don't believe in what you're saying. I call these confidence killers. Let me give you some examples. I think maybe we could. I'm not sure, but possibly. This might not be a good idea, but I don't know if this makes sense, but. Now, here's the thing. You might be using these phrases because you're trying to be polite. You're trying to be humble, and I get it. In many cultures, being too direct can seem rude. But in English-speaking business environments, especially in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, these phrases make you sound weak. They make it sound like you don't trust your own ideas. And if you don't trust your ideas, why should anyone else? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to replace weak language with power language. Let me show you. Weak. I think maybe we could try this approach. Powerful. I recommend we try this approach. Do you hear the difference? I recommend is strong, it's clear. It shows you've thought about this and you stand behind it. Let's try another one. Weak. I'm not sure, but possibly this solution might work. Powerful. This solution will work because. See what happened there? We removed the uncertainty. We added a reason. Now you sound like someone who's done the thinking and arrived at a conclusion. One more, weak. This might not be right, but Powerful. Here's what I propose. Here's what I propose is CEO language. It's leader language. It says, I have a vision and I'm confident enough to share it. Now, I want to be clear about something. This doesn't mean you can never show uncertainty. If you genuinely don't know something, it's fine to say, I don't have that information, but I'll find out. That's honest confidence. What we're eliminating is unnecessary uncertainty. All those hedging phrases that you add out of habit, not because you actually lack confidence in your idea. So here's your action step for hack number 1. For the next week, pay attention to your language. Every time you're about to say, I think maybe, or possibly, or I'm not sure, but stop. Take a breath and rephrase it with power language. I recommend, here's what I propose. This approach will work because here's what's going to happen. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might feel like you're being too direct or too bold. That's normal. That's your old habit fighting back. But push through it, because after a few days, something magical happens. You start to realize that people are listening to you more carefully. They're taking your ideas more seriously. And that external validation will start to build your real internal confidence. Remember, on Rochford's English channel, we learn fast and we apply it immediately. So start today. All right, let's move to hack number 2, the power pause. This one is absolutely game-changing, and it's something that almost every English learner gets wrong. Here's what usually happens. You're in a meeting or an interview. Someone asks you a question, and you panic a little bit because you want to prove that your English is good, that you're smart, that you belong in the room. So what do? You start talking immediately. And because you're nervous, you fill every silence with words. You say and like, and you know. You rush through your sentences. You keep talking even when you're not sure what you're saying anymore. Am I right? Here's what confident leaders do differently. They pause. They let there be silence. When someone asks them a question, they don't rush to answer. They take a breath. They think, and then they speak. I'm doing it right now, did you notice? Those pauses don't make me seem unsure. They make me seem in control. They make you lean in and listen more carefully. This is one of the most powerful techniques in communication, and it works in English just like it works in any language. Let me break down why the power pause is so effective. First, it gives you time to think. When you pause before answering, your brain has 2 or 3 extra seconds to organize your thoughts, choose better words, and structure your answer. This means when you do speak, you sound more articulate and intelligent. Second, it makes you look confident. Think about it. Only confident people are comfortable with silence. Nervous people rush to fill every gap. When you pause, you're sending a subconscious message. I'm in control of this conversation. I speak when I'm ready. Third, it makes people listen more carefully. There's a psychological principle here. When you pause, you create anticipation. People pay more attention to what comes next because the silence makes them curious. So, how do you use the power pause? Let me give you 3 specific situations. Situation 1. After someone asks you a question. Instead of jumping in immediately, take a 2-second pause. You can even add a small phrase like, that's a great question, or let me think about that for a moment. Then pause, think, and answer. Situation 2, between your main points. When you're presenting an idea, don't run all your points together. Make your first point, then pause. Let it land, then make your second point. Pause again. This structure makes you sound organized and authoritative. Situation 3. After you state something important. If you've just said something significant, like your salary expectation or a key recommendation, stop talking. Pause. Let it sink in. Don't undercut yourself by immediately adding, does that make sense? Or what do you think? Watch this. Imagine I'm in a job interview. I have 7 years of experience in project management, and I've led teams of up to 15 people. And I think I could really contribute to your company. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. I have 7 years of experience in project management. I've led teams of up to 15 people. I know I can bring that leadership to your company. Hear the difference? The second version sounds like someone who's worth more money. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Sarah, won't people think I don't know English well if I pause too much? No. Here's the key. You're not pausing because you're searching for words. You're pausing deliberately with confidence. There's a huge difference between an uncertain, and a purposeful moment of silence. Confident pauses are short, 1 to 3 seconds, and you maintain eye contact during them. Your body language says, I'm thinking, not I'm lost. Here's your practice assignment for hack number 2. This week, in every professional conversation you have, whether it's in English or your native language, practice the power pause. Pause before answering questions. Pause between your main points. Pause after saying something important. It will feel weird at first. You might worry that the silence is too long. But I promise you, it's not. What feels like forever to you feels perfectly natural to everyone else. And here's the beautiful thing about the power pause. You don't need to improve your vocabulary or your grammar to use it. You can start using it right now, today, in your next meeting or conversation. That's what we do here at Rochford's English channel. We give you tools you can use immediately to level up your English and your career. All right, are you ready for hack number 3? This is the big one. I call this the money script. This is the exact language you use when it's time to talk about compensation. Whether you're negotiating a salary, asking for a raise, or telling a client your price, this is the script that confident professionals use. And I'm going to give it to you right now. But first, let me tell you why most people fail at this moment. Here's what usually happens. You're doing great in the interview. You're confident, you're articulate, everything is going well. And then they ask, what are your salary expectations? And you panic. Your confidence disappears. You start with, well, I'm flexible, or whatever you think is fair, or I was thinking maybe around. And just like that, you've lost thousands of dollars. Because here's the truth. The person who names a number first with confidence usually gets closer to that number. The person who hesitates, who apologizes, who seems uncertain, they signal that they'll accept less. So let's fix that. Right now. Here's the money script. Write this down. Based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for a specific number. That's it. That's the whole script. Let me break down why this works. Based on my experience and the value I bring, this is your justification. You're not pulling a number out of thin air. You're connecting it to concrete reasons. I'm looking for, this is confident but not aggressive. You're not demanding. You're not apologizing. You're simply stating what you're seeking. Specific number. Notice I said specific. Not a range, not around something, an exact number. $75,000, $50 per hour, 45,000 pounds. When you give a specific number, you sound like you've done your research. You sound professional. Let's practice this with some examples. Example 1, salary negotiation. Based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for $85,000. Then, and this is critical, you stop talking. You use the power pause from hack number 2. You let that number sit in the air. You don't add, is that okay? Or does that work? Or I'm flexible though. You state your number and you wait for them to respond. Example 2, freelance rate. Based on my experience and the value I bring, my rate is $100 per hour. Again, specific number, confident delivery, then silence. Example 3, asking for a raise. Based on my performance this year and the value I've brought to the team, I'm looking for an increase to $72,000. Now, here's what might happen next. They might say, that's higher than we budgeted, or can you do $75 instead of $85? This is normal. This is negotiation. And here's how you respond. I understand. Let me share why I arrived at that number. Then you give 2 to 3 specific examples of the value you bring. Projects you've completed, revenue you've generated, problems you've solved. skills you have that others don't. The key is you never apologize for your number. You never say, sorry, maybe that's too high. You simply explain the reasoning, staying confident and factual. And here's a secret. Sometimes they'll say yes right away. Sometimes they'll meet you in the middle. But you will always get more than if you had started with, whatever you think is fair. Let me tell you a quick story. I had a student named Anna. She was interviewing for a marketing position. The job posting said the salary range was $50,000 to $70,000. Anna's instinct was to say $55,000 because she didn't want to seem greedy. But we practiced the money script. We practiced it over and over until it felt natural. In the interview, they asked her salary expectations. She took a breath. She used the power pause. And then she said, based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for $72,000. Notice, she went above their posted range. She aimed high. The hiring manager paused. Then she said, we can do $68,000. Anna got $68,000, $13,000 more than she was going to ask for. That's $13,000 extra every single year. Over 5 years, that's $65,000, all because she learned to speak with confidence about her value. That's the power of the money script. So here's your action step for hack number 3. Right now, today, write out your money script. Fill in your specific number based on research into your industry and role. Then practice saying it out loud. Say it to your mirror. Say it to a friend. Say it until it feels natural. Because the next time someone asks about your salary expectations, you're going to be ready. Remember, on Rochford's English channel, we don't just teach you English. We teach you how to use English to build the career and the life you want. Fast. All right, now it's time for my favorite part of the video, interactive practice with me. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you in a real situation, and I want you to practice speaking out loud with me. Yes, actually say the words. Don't just listen. This only works if you do it. If you're on a bus or in public and you can't speak out loud, I want you to mouth the words. Move your lips. Engage your muscles. Because confidence isn't just mental, it's physical. Ready? Let's do this. Scenario 1. Imagine you're in a job interview. Everything is going great. And then the interviewer says, so what are your salary expectations? You take a breath. You remember the power pause. And then you say, come on, say it with me right now. Based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for, pause, Sarah waits, $75,000. Good, now say it again with more confidence. Stronger. Based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for $75,000. Excellent. Did you notice how much more powerful you sounded the second time? Scenario 2. Okay, next situation, you're in a meeting. Your boss asks, does anyone have ideas on how we can improve our customer response time? You have an idea, a good one. So instead of saying, I think maybe, you're going to use power language. Say this with me. I recommend we implement a new ticketing system. Again, louder. I recommend we implement a new ticketing system. Perfect. You sound like a leader. You sound like someone who deserves a promotion. Scenario 3. One more. This is the big one. Imagine you've been working at your company for a year. You've been doing excellent work. It's time to ask for a raise. You walk into your manager's office. You sit down. And you say it with me confidently, I'd like to discuss my compensation. Based on my performance this year and the value I've brought to the team, I'm looking for an increase to $65,000. One more time, even stronger. This is your money. You've earned it. I'd like to discuss my compensation. Based on my performance this year and the value I've brought to the team, I'm looking for an increase to $65,000. That is what confidence sounds like. If you just did that practice with me, if you actually spoke those words out loud, give yourself credit. You just took action. You didn't just consume content. You practiced. And that's the difference between people who improve their English and people who transform their careers. They practice. They take action immediately. That's what we do here at Rochford's English channel. We don't waste time, we learn fast, and we apply it right now. All right, let's do a quick recap because I want to make sure these 3 hacks are locked into your brain. Hack number 1, stop weak language. Replace I think maybe with I recommend. Replace I'm not sure, but with here's what I propose. Replace possibly with certainty. Your words shape how people perceive your competence. Hack number 2, the power pause. Silence is strength. Pause before you answer questions. Pause between your main points. Pause after saying something important. This gives you time to think and makes you look like a confident leader. Hack number 3, the money script. When it's time to talk about compensation, use this exact phrase. Based on my experience and the value I bring, I'm looking for a specific number. Then stop talking, let them respond. These aren't just communication tips. These are the specific techniques that confident English speakers use to earn more money, get better opportunities, and command respect in professional environments. And here's something really important I want you to understand. Confidence in English isn't about being perfect. Miguel, the student I told you about at the beginning, he thought he needed perfect grammar to succeed. But you know what he really needed? He needed to sound like he believed in himself. I've seen non-native English speakers with strong accents become CEOs. I've seen people who make grammar mistakes run successful international businesses. I've seen students who learned English as adults negotiate million-dollar deals. What did they all have in common? They spoke with confidence. They used power language. They weren't afraid of pauses. And they stated their value clearly when it mattered most. That's what separates the people who succeed from the people who stay stuck. And you can build this confidence fast. You don't need 5 more years of study. You don't need to eliminate your accent. You don't need perfect grammar. You need to start using these 3 hacks today. All right, here's what I want you to do right now, and I mean right now before you click away from this video. First, take out your phone or a piece of paper and write down your money script. Fill in your specific number. Write the exact words you'll say the next time someone asks about your salary expectations. Second, practice saying it out loud 3 times. Right now, get comfortable with how it feels in your mouth. Get comfortable with the power of stating your value. Third, subscribe to Rochford's English channel. Because here's the thing, this video gave you 3 powerful hacks, but there are dozens more strategies, techniques, and scripts that will help you master English fast and transform your career. We don't waste time on boring grammar rules that don't matter in real life. We focus on the English skills that actually make a difference. The skills that get you hired, promoted, and paid what you're worth. So hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Because every single week, I'm giving you practical, actionable English lessons that you can apply immediately. And if this video helped you, if you learned something valuable today, hit the like button and leave a comment telling me which hack you're going to use first. Are you going to stop weak language? Master the power pause? Or use the money script in your next negotiation? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing about your progress. Remember, you don't have to spend years becoming fluent to speak like a leader. You just need to speak with confidence, use power language, and state your value clearly. You've got this. Your English is good enough right now to start earning more, achieving more, and becoming the confident professional you're meant to be. I'm Sarah, and I'll see you in the next video on Rochford's English channel, where you learn English fast. Now go out there and speak like a leader.